Unzipped with Sherry is a bariatric podcast talking about weight loss surgery. I am not a licensed professional. Any views and or opinions expressed in the show are those of the speakers and do not reflect the bariatric community as a whole. Always reach out to a professional with any medical issues you are experiencing. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unzipped with Sherry with yours truly. As always, I am Sherry. Thank you so much last week for Dee Dee who came on the show. I'm really excited for this show. I've gotten to know Michelle over the last couple of months, and she is such an amazing heart. She has an incredible story, and it's been such an honor and privilege just getting to know her a little bit better. You guys are going to fall in love with her just like I have. And so she has had RNY, I think it's 10 months ago now. We are almost approaching the 1-year surgiversary, which is really exciting. And maybe we'll have to ask her like what she's planning on doing to celebrate. I'm not sure. But for those of you tuning in, thank you so much for being with us for another week. And Michelle, I hope you're ready because we're about to get unzipped. We all have a story on how we got here, right? So for me, I used to be over 350 pounds. Until one day, I made the single decision that I wanted change. Weight loss surgery has saved my life, and now I am here for you. I want to hear your story. You know, the one that happened during that before and after picture. It's time to unzip. What's your story? Hello, beautiful. How are you?
I'm good.
I just want to first say thank you so much, first and foremost, for you coming on the show today. I really do appreciate it. So welcome to my little podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I am too. So I've gotten to know you a little bit, and obviously I already love you. But for people at home who have not had a chance to know who Michelle is, a lot of people are not on TikTok who watch the show or listen. So I thought maybe you can give us a little backstory as to what is Michelle's origin story. Where do we come from? Where do we start?
I guess before surgery, I married 3 kids, grandbabies. I do hair for a living. I live in. I was just fed up with my weight, and then I decided to have weight loss surgery, and now here.
And then here we are. So like growing up, were you always like a little chubby kid like I was, or was it something that happened later on in life?
It happened a little later on in life. I wasn't the chubby kid, but most kids, but not like a lot. You know, I was pretty average. You know, I never got picked on about my weight in school or anything.
Okay.
That I got heavier in my second marriage.
You got heavier in your second marriage, you said?
I mean, I gained a little bit marriage, you know, from kids and stuff, but I never got over maybe 210 pounds at the most marriage, and then most of my weight ballooned out when I quit smoking 6 years ago.
So you quit smoking 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's like what we would have referred to in the bariatric community as a transfer addiction. I'm thinking that you turned to food afterwards.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
And then exactly. Like how, like, so when you decided to quit smoking, was it something that it started piling on very quickly, or was it slowly over time?
Probably maybe 30 pounds, like real fast, you know, because I didn't have nothing to, you know, it's like I needed
the oral fixation of it. Yeah.
And my doctor also said, you know, he said, I would rather surgery than have to try and replace your lung. So,
I mean, it's a very good analogy to have to give you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I quit for my kids. So, and I'm glad I did all that weight. I gained like 80 pounds.
So you gained 80 pounds after you quit smoking?
It went crazy. And then of course, you know, you're going through all the emotions and everything. And well, after a year, I'll, you know, get back on a diet, you know, and everything, my weight will even out.
Right.
And going up and up.
Not so much.
Yeah. And dieting was horrible.
Were you
I
like one
did
of those ones who was doing like all the new fad diets?
Oh yeah, for sure. I did everything. Even in my first marriage to lose weight. It was very,
Mm-hmm.
very hard, but every time I lost weight, every time I got under, so yeah, every time I get under 200 pounds, whoop.
And so because like for you, it wasn't something that you had always suffered with obesity, like growing up, like even if you, like when you're saying during your first marriage, you had like a couple of pounds here and there. Um, that's a significant amount of weight to gain fairly quickly. And I know like even in my case, when I started dating my husband, we were renting a room in a house with a bunch of people. So you couldn't make dinner at home. And so it was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We were eating out. And I think we both gained like 100 pounds the first year just because
Yeah.
of the bad habits. So I know what it's like to gain it fairly rapidly. And kind of like when you have the surgery and you lose it so quickly, like your body or your brain doesn't have time to catch up to it. Like was it one of those things like during the process were you consciously aware that you were gaining weight, or is it something like you just kind of woke up one day and you're like, holy crap, like what has happened?
Yeah, going on, and then it just kept getting more and more. I'd see the scale, I'm like, oh my god, weigh myself because it would be depressing,
Yeah.
But I could tell clothes, I would start hurting, my hips and feet and knees and just, and then, I couldn't, it hurt to move. Work
Right.
was getting hard,
So work's getting harder, moving around is getting harder.
Yep.
One of the things that I was blown away by because we do like a little pre-interview before we do the show, and you had mentioned that you used to take Motrin almost every day, correct?
I took it whether I needed it or not.
And how much were you taking every day?
But I was taking a lot.
Like 1,800 milligrams is I
Yeah,
think
800. Sometimes I would take it almost 3 times a day. 800 milligrams 3 times a day.
that's just absolutely insane. And then so like, because I think you had just said earlier. Oh, go ahead.
I couldn't function without it. I was in too much pain.
Because and like when you have like all that, because I believe you're how tall? You're 5'2", right?
Yep.
And around this time, about how much did you weigh?
About this time. Oh, like last year?
No, like around the time, like after you had quit smoking and everything, and you had started.
Probably 230, 200, about 230 pounds. Because after we got married and stuff, but I was feeling okay. I wasn't, big deal about my weight, but I did gain some extra weight,
Yeah.
because I wasn't as active.
And then, so when you got to
smoking.
So after you, okay, so here's my question, because like after you had quit smoking, you obviously had transferred one addiction to another, and you're returning to food.
Yeah.
Was surgery ever like an option in your head? Was it something that you were ever considering before, or like what was it that made you decide to want to look into it?
One of my family members had it that she said she would never have it done, and then she decided to have it. Oh, okay, it's okay to have it. It's not, it's not taboo. It's not done.
Right.
That's why I felt like, if you got weight loss surgery, but I researched. I got on TikTok. During the, I was home for 3 months. I couldn't work because I'm a hairdresser, so we were shut down. I didn't eat a lot, but I was on TikTok a lot, and I followed one of the bariatric. I looked up bariatric surgery and 2 people. Shelly Holland was the first one I followed, and
Oh,
I
really?
watched her for close to a year. before I decided to have surgery. Just, learning that you can learn a lot of stuff on you can learn a lot of bad stuff too, but and everything, and just waiting for insurance to pay for it, because my husband said, no way am I going to Mexico,
Right.
But I was like all ready to go.
I see, and I love that. And I love that there's so many more resources now than they used to have, because I would have loved to have been able to have gone on TikTok and looked at different people's transformation, and not just the transformation pictures. Yes, like the pictures are amazing, but I wish I could have known like the specific questions to ask and like what the reality was really like. Cause I felt like a lone wolf, like trying to navigate my way through, getting to the other side. So you were kind of stalking TikTok for like almost a year before you actually had it.
Yeah. And Facebook. I looked up, there's a lot of Facebook groups. There's a Facebook group for everything. I think I did that first, and then I did TikTok. So much stuff, but I researched everything. I looked up how much it cost. I tried to convince my husband, and he said no, because he was scared, and I understand that, we have to go every year to get our physicals for my husband's job. And the one lady said, hey Michelle, they got some new benefits that are, like weight loss surgery and everything. And I'm like, oh, sweet. So I seen that. I'm like, oh. So I made an appointment. Like, in my insurance will pay for surgery in January. So I'm like, want to make an appointment. I got in on the 4th of January last year.
That's insane.
I was so excited. And it took me 4 months. I had to, the pre-stuff.
Right. So you only really had 4 months to actually prepare for surgery.
Yeah. They wanted it, their program has to be at least 4 months or 3 months or 4. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to make sure it's only 4 months, because I'm tired of waiting,
Right.
Everything done,
So, well, actually, this is an interesting question, because like I said, I didn't have any of this stuff beforehand. Do you think that doing the research that you had, like with actual people within the community, do you think it really helped mentally prepare you for the surgery?
Yep, I do. Yep, I chose RNY because over the sleeve, because of she said she had the sleeve first, and then she had horrible I have really bad heartburn, really bad, GERD, and I thought, I am not going to have, so I just went with the RNY, and I told my doctor, said, I'm not doing this, so that's what we decided.
So you were already suffering with acid reflux even beforehand.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I heard is like one of the biggest differences between the two surgeries is that people with sleeve tend to have more acid, which makes sense, because I had sleeve and I do have acid reflux way more often. And I think I have it more than I ever had even before surgery. But then like on the plus side, we don't have to necessarily deal with dumping syndrome and like other issues that you guys. So it's kind of like, there's like perks, highs and lows with either option. But I mean, like in my opinion, like for me, like the GERD is, or the acid reflux is a small price to pay for
it is
everything. So what was it like when you had the surgery, which I can't believe it's been almost a year for you, which is insane.
I know.
What was the recovery like for you? Did you ever have any issues when you came out of surgery?
The day of surgery, they're like, well, we think we're gonna have you walk to your bed. And I thought, because I was in so much pain. Oh my gosh, that was the worst pain ever. Then the second day, I was in some belly pain and whatnot, but I stayed home for 2 weeks. Because I stuff at work, so I stayed home for 2 weeks, and then my first week back to work, I only worked like 3 days because I was tired.
Yeah.
Then the 4th week was fine. But I haven't had any complications. I learned that you need to eat slow, not eat fast, because
Yes.
if you eat fast, you throw up.
Were you always naturally a fast eater?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
what's funny is I didn't realize I must have grown up in a house of fast eaters. And I didn't realize that until like I think I was in high school and like you're at a friend, you start going to friends' houses and you go there for dinner
Yeah.
and your plate is
Yes.
polished off and they're barely
Yes.
like eating like one or and you're like, "Oh my god." And I
Yes.
thought that like there was something wrong with me, but I'm like, "Wait, no, I'm eating at the same pace as my family." And I'll tell you this,
Right.
over like 8.5 years later, I still struggle with eating too fast with
Yeah.
certain foods.
A little too fast because I love tacos and I love
Yes.
chicken tacos and a little too fast. And I think I ate just a smidgen too much, but or it was the taco or something because it was like stuck. I'm okay, you know.
That's where, do you ever get like this pressure, like right at the top of the stomach, like right underneath the
Yeah.
boobs?
Yep. Yep. Or like right in. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I always thought I was going crazy. And like I joke, I used to Google everything, which I'm not allowed to Google anymore. But it's funny because I have a look on my face apparently. And my husband has recognized the look over the years and he'll be like, Sherry, stop. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no, no. He's like, no, you're done. And I'm like, no, I have another, but no, you are done. Cause he like this gloss
And
comes
then,
over your
yeah,
face
yes.
and he knows that I'm one bite away from like being doubled over in pain or having the pressure get really intense. And
Yeah. I've learned
it gets,
that if you feel like you cannot take another bite, if you're like, I can't eat that, just I can't eat that last bite in your plate because that's the
right.
mentality growing up, you know. But you don't have to eat that last bite because you'll get sick.
Yeah.
I learned that.
Like
So
I'm a
I'll
lot,
just,
but yeah. And like for the most part, I'd say like 95% of the time, I'm really good at eating slowly and enjoying. Sometimes, I don't know, like it could just be like a dish that just is really good. Or the worst
yes.
is if
Yeah.
you're engrossed in conversation and you don't realize that you're constantly kind of like with smoking, like it's that oral fixation that you just
Yeah.
like keep like bringing it to your mouth. And then
Yeah.
usually, obviously, by the time if you're feeling uncomfortable in the same span of eating, you're
Yes.
already past the point of no return. Like
Yeah.
obviously, like usually, I think I read somewhere that it takes 20 minutes for your brain to register or for your stomach to register to your brain that you're full and vice versa. And
Yes.
I'm telling you, that makes so much more sense because those moments where like I would have the look on my face and Eric would say I'm done and I would take that extra bite. 20 minutes later, I am regretting life.
Yep.
It's um So one of the things that I thought was interesting in your case, because when I had the surgery, I didn't know anybody. Like I was probably one of the largest people in my family. Now I grew up in a family of Italian. Like the women were very curvy. We've all suffered with different weight issues and
Yeah.
thyroid issues and stuff. But I was the only one in my family who had the surgery. I had known a friend or two by then. I wasn't close with them, so I could ask them questions. But I believe you knew people in the family who had all had surgery.
Yeah. Um, I have four, my sister, her daughter, her husband, her daughter, and then another niece. So 5 people, 6 people.
6 people in your family have had the surgery.
Yeah.
And what was their experience like?
My sister, she had years ago, so I don't think she had the support, like, and like, I think it's a lot different now than it was like 5 years ago, even.
Oh yeah.
There's not, there wasn't as many support groups or, you know, because of the internet and sit in their living room and be supportive, for each other. I don't think they had that. So I know my sister suffered a little bit from regain, um, but she's like still down 100 and some pounds. Like maybe
That's
she's
amazing.
still down, but she
Okay.
gained some weight back. But I guess to gain some, you get low and then you kind of come back up a little bit. I was reading I seen a thing on TV about it. You'll dip down, then you'll come back a little bit.
Yeah, I remember my I had some regain well, I had a nervous breakdown, and medication maybe gained like 50 pounds in the course
Yeah.
of 2 months. But I remember talking to my bariatric surgeon about it, and he said what sometimes they don't warn you about is when you have the surgery, you
Yeah.
drop, and you hit like this low point, and
Yep.
then your body will naturally bounce up slightly. He's like on average like 10 to 20 pounds depending on the
Yeah.
person. And so when you
Yep.
do that dip and you have that slow rise, that kind of becomes your stability. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have this misconception that they're doing something wrong, that they're failed, that they've
Yeah.
regained. And
Yep.
I wish that more doctors would put it out there. No, that's actually
Yeah.
normal. That happens with
Yeah.
all, I mean, not 100% of the time, but it's very, very overly common that whatever that
Yeah.
lowest point is not going to be the official
Yeah.
low point. Um, and then so like when you had people in your family that had some regain or didn't have like the most successful results or anything, or might have had issues, did that hinder your perception of it like towards you at all?
A little bit, probably after, maybe just a little bit. Um, because that you had the surgery, you're going to gain it all back anyway. Blah blah blah. But uh, my niece was the last one to have it done, and she did gain a little. I mean, it's so easy to slip back into bad habits. So much
Mm-hmm.
cheaper to eat unhealthy. You know,
Yeah.
you know, you can get a dollar cheeseburger, but like a normal serving of grapes is like 2 3.
Yeah. I just cuz I've been eating a lot of eggs lately. Like I've been making like eggs with like, little avocado and like like a carb tortilla and stuff. And so it's become kind of like my new normal in the morning, but I just went to the market and I got like an 18 pack of eggs and it was $9
Yep.
and something changed where I was like I could have gone to Jack in the and that was just like to have what, a couple of eggs. I could have gone to Jack in the Box and gotten like some tacos and a burger and fries and it like
Yeah.
I feel like yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Um
For
and then
sure.
so you had said so when your husband was he like what was his thoughts about you having the surgery? Like was he worried that you were either doing it for the wrong reasons or was he just like scared of the aftermath or what was
I think he was surgery in general, because the only other surgery I really had was 30 years ago.
right.
So I hadn't had surgery. I was a little nervous, but I was ready. I'm like, get it done. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he was worried, and he was worried that I wasn't going to stick to it. I didn't stick to any other diet, and this is like the holy grail end of this is the last chance, Sally, before
Right.
you can't get off the train anymore.
100%.
You know,
And then so
so
yeah, and that's really hard. What was like I know that we had started touching on a little bit, but you had started like you had quit smoking, you had started gaining weight, and then you had gotten to your highest point, which I believe you had told me was almost 300 pounds, which is a lot to
yeah,
carry if you're 5'2".
yeah,
Um
yeah,
and especially because you had gained like a handful of it fairly quickly, and then like
yeah,
once you've gained it, like it feels so overwhelming to like know how to start. And then like yes, you might lose 5 pounds, you feel good, but 5 pounds when you
yeah,
have 100 and something to lose just feels so
yes,
minuscule. And then it's
yeah,
so
exactly.
easy to get discouraged, and especially if like you did everything right for a week and then nothing happened. Um, so tell me about last year, like when right before you decided to make that moment. You had told me that you had like this pivotal moment where you just decided, I'm done. I can't live like this anymore.
Yeah, I was done. I was for health issues, that's related to weight, and I'm like, well, maybe it's like urinary incontinence for women. If you're heavy, you're
Mm-hmm.
um walking hurts. Pre-diabetes, um they kept climbing up higher and higher and higher. um just all kinds of, a lot of physical limitations, like, oh my God, really heavy, like wiping your own butt. You know what I'm saying?
Like people don't think about that, or like the littlest things you take for granted that you don't realize. Yep. Now, you had said at the top of the show that you're a hair, like you do hair. So you're on your feet all day long.
Yeah, my legs would swell. Yeah, I would hurt so bad.
And I'm just now thinking about that because, like, I remember being like at my heaviest, and you go to Disneyland, and you're in like, I could walk for a certain period of time. If I'm constantly moving, it's not as bad. But when you're standing in line for a ride, let's say, and you're standing stationary in one spot, everything starts swelling up. And I remember by 6:30 that night, I am in excruciating pain. The back of my knees were terrible. Like, you're literally doing like this wobble because like your hips are hurting, everything's hurting. So like, I can't imagine, because like I know, like with my hair girl, she's sometimes on her feet for like 10 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I used to. I would be on my feet, but not anymore. But it was hard. My feet, I would hurt. It was just awful. And I don't want to ever get to that place ever again. No. As soon as I had surgery, you can't take Motrin or ibuprofen.
Right.
After you've had surgery. Like I didn't have any more pain. You know what I mean? I mean, I still had a little, probably a month after my surgery, it's like the pain lessened up a little bit because, 20, even just a little bit of weight coming off, and I hardly take anything for pain. If I take anything for pain, Tylenol every now and then, and we moved a few weeks ago, and then another family member, if I was 100 when I was married, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have been able to.
No, that's what I was going to ask you, because I know you on a personal level, and I know that you're going through the process of moving, which is one of the most exhilarating experiences you could ever go through. The packing, the phone calls, the trucks, like everything. I feel like every time I've ever moved, everything that could possibly go wrong in the process of moving would always go wrong.
We moved everything ourselves.
Yeah, that's what we usually
didn't
do.
hire trucks. Mm-hmm. We didn't hire. Well, we had a trailer, but lifting all that heavy stuff. Oh my gosh! And going up and down the stairs into the house and out, and then in the basement, and I don't know how I was heavier, honestly.
And you know what's crazy to think is like, think about the boxes that you were carrying, like when you were carrying, like, going up and down the stairs and stuff, and like how draining it was on your arms the end of the day, and how much your back was hurting and your knee. And you're like, I carried more than this 24 hours a day.
Yes. I mean, I was beat. I was tired, and I would, I know I'm getting older, but, I wasn't. It didn't hurt like when I was 100 pounds heavier. Right. I mean? I was still tired, but I didn't physically hurt as bad, which was, but there I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have not made it.
That has to be one hell of an NSV to be able to go through something so rigorous like that, when there was like, because you and I can relate, like there was a time like you couldn't walk more than 5 minutes, or like the idea of even going up the stairs because you left your charger or something like that. And and you were like out of breath, or like you're keeling over. And here you are, like up and down the stairs. I'm not saying that it wasn't painful and that it wasn't, excruciating, but that's something 10 months ago you would have never been able to do.
Exactly. Even like we had a washer and dryer was down there, and I'm like, I don't want to, I just can't go down there. I could to not have to go to the basement because it was too much to try and carry a laundry basket upstairs.
That was one of the things, like this is the first house I've had that we're in now that's a 2-story. And the idea of a 2-story before like was not an option. Like I couldn't even handle that. And like, there's days where you're just getting ready to lay in the bed and you're like, oh crap, I left my charger downstairs. But and like it's daunting to have to like physically go and get it, but not
Yeah.
because of like the physical pain, just because like I was just getting comfortable. I don't want to go downstairs.
Right.
But I would have never been able to do that. And then like I found myself even like with the challenge that I was doing, purposely like going up and down the stairs multiple times just to kind of get the heart
Yeah.
rate up a little bit. And you're like, I would have never been able to do this before.
Exactly.
And so so obviously you're still doing hairs. How much of a difference has it been since you had gone back to work?
Big difference.
Mm-hmm.
I can move so much. I do feel better. I work in a world of, it's hard not to look in the mirror. I mean, if you don't like yourself and you're like, oh, so you get used to not looking at yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I would not look at myself in the mirror. Well, in the barbershop, we would turn away from men. But here where I'm renting a chair, they're looking in the mirror, like that. Men, they don't. So, it's, I like it, I'm not going to lie. I'm glad I'm healthy, but I feel like I look better, and
Yeah.
bigger clothes are more expensive than smaller clothes.
I didn't realize how much of a
more
difference it
material.
was. and that's what it is, because I used to always shop at Lane Bryant. That was the only store that I can shop at, but I never actively noticed the prices there compared to another store, because another store was never an option. But it wasn't until we had started our own clothing line and we started ordering, different sizes, and we wanted to promote, we wanted to have sizes that went up to 2 and 3X, because number one, in in Eric's world, like when he's power a lot of guys, wear 3Xs, but we didn't want anybody to ever feel excluded because, of the brand and everything. But it was a much different price point for us to order 2X and 3X and above. And I used to think, I understand that there's slightly more material. I get it. But I'm like, I feel like, why are we punishing people because they're a bigger size? I felt like that was so wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't get it.
Yeah. And I'm excited that, like, not too much this year, because I was trying to think. I just had my surgery in May, so I didn't lose a huge amount of weight. But this coming summer, and it ain't gonna bother me. You don't want to sit in them white chairs, those plastic white chairs. Your butt gonna be able to fit in it.
What was your first NSV that you remembered having?
Crossing my legs.
I almost feel like that's everybody's like first.
Yeah.
Was it something that you consciously said, I'm going to try to cross my legs, or was it something that just happened naturally that you happen to look down and notice?
It just kind of happened naturally, and I'm like, whoa. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
I think that's amazing. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to doing? I mean, because I just realized, like we said at the top of the show, you're about to celebrate 1 year.
In May, yeah.
In May, and I believe it's May 23rd, right? So what are we going to do to celebrate?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, I know that's like some people will go out and buy clothes. Like, my thing is like, I wanted to do an activity that I wouldn't have been able to do before, and like either make a weekend or a day out of it.
Yeah, I want to do that too. I don't want to buy clothes, because I have to buy clothes anyway to wear, so I'm not naked. But I don't want to buy clothes. I love tattoos, but
Wait, do you?
I would be covered in them if I could.
What? I don't know why. I would have never pegged you as somebody who's into tattoos.
Really? No, I love tattoos.
Not that was meant to be like a good thing or a bad thing. I was like, I don't know. It just kind of like, that kind of threw me. So do you have any tattoos?
I have 4.
You have 4.
And that's not a lot, but
yeah. Okay. I mean, that's a lot. It took me almost 40 years to get my one little one.
I don't know if you can. It's
on
kind
your
of big.
Neck too.
A big one on my chest, and then one on my leg, and then one on my shoulder.
Were all of the tattoos post-op, or you had tattoos already?
Oh, I've had them for like 20 years.
Oh, okay.
30,
Oh,
probably
okay.
30 years. Yeah.
Oh, I'm interested. I have like my one little tattoo, and people are like, "Oh, once you get them, they're addicting. You're gonna want to
They
get."
are.
I know
They
everybody.
are.
Like for me, I'm like, I'm good. One and done. I'm good. My husband said like he's like addicted to the pain of it, and I'm like, okay, that says a lot more about you, buddy. Like I'm just saying. I don't
I don't
know.
know. I want to do something like something physical. You know, I don't want to do a but I can run on my treadmill, which I can't believe that.
That's amazing.
It is. I bought a Peloton, and I rode on it the other night, and I 6 miles. And
You
then my
did
next
6 miles on it? That's
the
awesome.
first night, yeah.
Okay, I have to ask though, because everybody is talking about the whole Peloton craze, and I don't know, like in my head, I feel like it's like the new fad or whatever, because like I'm so used to fads. But
Yeah.
everybody is like swearing by it. But everybody used to. I mean, before Peloton existed, the big thing was the cycling classes at the gym. And
Yeah.
my friend convinced me to go. I'm not much into cycling, but I did that class, and the little banana hammock seats or whatever were so uncomfortable. It was like literally my tailbone felt bruised.
Yeah, your sit and your pelvis for women, they're sit
Yeah.
bones, and they hurt. And I get a new bike seat. I need the bigger girl bike seat. Without the because it hurts too much.
Oh, so I guess that was my question. So you can get them in different sizes.
Yeah.
I would consider it if I could do that, because that's one of the reasons I've
Yeah.
never done a cycling class again, is because I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way that it was so uncomfortable.
It hurts your bones. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It hurts. Yeah. First 30 minutes I was on my bike, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like one side and then right on the other. And I'm like, oh.
I'm good. Like, so since you've lost weight, like I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday. Like, does your tailbone naturally hurt now?
Yes. Like I sitting here in the dining room chair, I can feel my tailbones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so weird.
Husband,
Like, I was like, that was something I never thought was gonna hurt. And then like I think that's why my back ended up going out last summer, is I put too much tension on my tailbone, and my tailbone was like, F you, buddy, like we're not doing that anymore.
Exactly.
So I have a question. So which, number one, I love that you didn't really have very many complications after the surgery. It was fairly smooth. What was like your husband's, because your husband, when he met you, were you bigger?
I was the same weight right now. Maybe just a little bit less.
Okay. And I'm just curious, because I noticed like in relationships, if one of us is not feeling our best or in our, best place. I know even in my marriage, like if I was on a health kick and he wasn't, and like vice versa, it would it kind of puts strain like on the relationship. Like as far as like your relationship status, have you noticed a change since the surgery?
With my husband's eating, kind of like his have to eat better. So I would get a little angry. Bring home he's like, well, I'm gonna bring pizza home. I'm like, why are you gonna eat that in front of me? He goes, I can't eat what you eat because I'll die. Like, you won't die.
You're not gonna die.
Yeah, you're not gonna die. But I would get a little irritated. I mean, not too bad. Just a couple times I did, but I thought, why can't you do this journey with me? I mean, like, you don't have to eat a little bit amount that I eat, but you could pizza or donuts, or just the other day my husband brought home 4 punch. Do you know what punchkis are?
No.
They're donuts that are like 1,500. They're like before like religious Easter, like before Ash Wednesday.
Okay.
It's it's like you're eating Ash Wednesday, then you
Right.
know.
Oh,
But
interesting.
they're filled with like fruit. They're really good, but they're so bad for you. So bad. You know, diabetes. Why are you eating this? You know. But he's lost some weight and his weight together on Sundays, and I'm really close to his weight. He's not
Really?
liking it. I've never been
That,
less than him.
you know, I'm kind of glad that you brought this up because I've noticed lately and I'm seeing it on social media too, that there's almost like this interesting trend that's happening, and I don't think people realize that they're doing it, is people are having the surgery and they're getting amazing results and they're taking control of their life, they're eating healthier, and then obviously the more that you lose, the more energy that we are getting, so we're becoming more
Yep.
and more active and we're embracing like this new lifestyle that we have. But
Yes.
meanwhile, we have partners at home that
Yep.
are not on the same train. And I feel like there comes a phase during the journey where I don't want to say necessarily that you start to have like a resentment for your partner, but I think that there's
It
some
can
kind of
happen.
an element of resentment. And I'm
Yep.
finding like just in the last week and having conversations with people how much more common it is than I realized. And
Yeah, it is.
it's like number one, I never personally did that with Eric. Even though there were times where I would encourage him to want to go out and to do active things, and that wasn't his
Yeah.
thing. But in hindsight, I realized it's just that he wasn't interested in the things that I was. It didn't mean that he didn't want to be
Yeah.
active. He just
Yeah.
didn't want to do what I was doing. And I feel like who who am I to tell him like what he can and cannot eat?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah, we can't tell.
yeah, because had he done that to me, oh, that would not
Yeah.
go over very well. If you're gonna
No.
criticize like what I'm doing, and it's like I get that like the people who've had surgery, you're coming from a place of love. It's because you're feeling so amazing in this new body that you have in this new lifestyle that you want them to want to share it with you and
Yeah.
want to be a part of it. But I feel like sometimes our approach is not the most beneficial, and I think sometimes
Yeah.
it can push the other person away.
I think it can cause some resentment and everything, and then 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 they get mad at you, and then you're mad at them, and then it causes other problems. It brings up everything. Shit falls downhill. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
but I have to, let's, how about if you try this? Or so now that I can eat a little more, he'll eat whatever I make. He does get sick of chicken. I want spaghetti tonight. I don't want none of that other food.
right.
I'm like, okay. So I made him spaghetti throw up. It's just too carby for me. But I made chicken tacos, and he had, do you want this? Do you want that?
Well, anytime you want to make chicken, you let me know
Yeah.
because my husband is obsessed with chicken. He could literally eat
Yes.
chicken every single day of his life and he will never complain about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Eggs
would
and
go very
chicken is about all
eggs and chicken.
shrimp.
I know. It's funny. He's also a creature of habit. He could eat the same thing for lunch every single day. Because for him, like he had started his own weight loss journey, which I think what it was, I stopped trying. Like I didn't want to push it on any like this. I did this for me. I do think at some point it's important for them to find their own journey and what works for them.
Yeah.
And then I do like that we get to enjoy the benefits together and that there are activities that we can do together, but we kind of do our own thing separately, what's best for us. And like for him, he now, the famous saying, like he eats to live and then no longer lives to eat.
Yeah.
But I'm like, bruh, I can't do chicken and broccoli every single day for lunch, like for weeks and weeks. He's a creature of I need variety.
Yeah, I do too. Like veggie burger.
Mm-hmm.
Quinoa. I don't even know how to.
Quinoa?
Quinoa. I thought, okay, we'll try it.
Have you ever had it?
No. And
it's actually really good.
So I tried the ham. I'll eat anything, just about. And my husband's like, I really don't like those. So I've been eating them every day just to get rid of them. Because he ain't going to eat a box of that, and I'll eat it like till it's gone, you know.
Yeah, like, I love it. So I have a question. So how do I want to word it? So somebody who's like watching the show right now who has never either hasn't had the surgery yet, or maybe they're like in the very beginning stages of the surgery, and like maybe they're creeping on your TikTok or they're creeping on this podcast like you did for a year. What is some kind of advice that you would give them to have a successful journey?
Take pictures of yourself
Yes.
while you're heavy. Journal, you know, write down your feelings. You know, it helps. And you get your brain.
Yeah. Did you take a lot of
Does not.
pictures before surgery?
And I didn't measure myself either because I didn't care. I just wanted to get the weight off, you know. You know, what I lose doesn't define me, but I feel a lot better. You know, I don't care if I have something inches. It's, you know, I don't, I don't think that's important to me because I can, you know, but take pictures of yourself. You know, even if you take pictures of yourself, because your kids, if you have children or nieces, nephews, family, see those. You know, like, oh, I never have any pictures of my mom because pictures anywhere. Doesn't matter if you're heavy or thin. But if you're going on a journey, take picture.
I will say I do think that's one of the biggest regrets that people have is,
Yeah.
and I don't know about you because you know you have done some fad diets before, you had issues in the past. Was there ever a part of you that did not think the surgery was going to work?
I was worried about it a little bit, you know, not working. You know, I'm still worried over, you know, like what's going to happen when I'm a year and a half out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, am I going to gain it back? No, I don't want to because I don't want to go back in that heavy body. I'm sorry, I was not happy as a heavy person. I was not
Right.
happy. I didn't feel good. You know, no, I did not feel good. That was not the best time of my life. You know, now is my life. You know, um, if you're contemplating getting the surgery, you know, it's your own personal choice. There's always risk.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I would do this 10 times over.
You would do it all over
You know,
again.
yep, for sure.
I
I would
love.
even go to Mexico. You know, I would. So many people that go to Mexico, and it's
I know, like I feel like Mexico gets such a bad rap, but like people think of it as like a third world country, and I'm like, no, they have some of the best doctors in the world
really
operating
do
out of
your
Mexico.
yeah, you have to really do your due diligence, though. You
Yeah,
know, because you can, you know, because they don't have regulations like we do. You know, I think we need to be because there's doctors that aren't good.
right.
You
But I
know.
mean, like you can get that here in the States too. You can get doctors that are
Oh
not
yeah,
very
for
good.
sure.
I
Yeah,
think the only downside of going to another country is I've heard that sometimes if there is an issue or a complication home, some of your local, like your primary doctors will not
yeah,
touch you
yeah,
they because you had it done in Mexico.
yeah. That's why you have to talk to your family physician about you know, will you draw my Mexico to get this done? You know,
Right.
you know, if your insurance doesn't pay for it, and a lot of people went to Mexico and they had great results, you know, that will draw your labs and you know send you in for testing and you know that kind of stuff. There's a I don't know her name, but there Mexico had it done, and then her family doctor said that she would care afterward, you know, and that's
Yeah. Oh, I think that was that might have been
because
Val,
she
I
asked
think
her.
was talking. Yeah, I think that was Val or something.
It could be. I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure. Yeah.
So that actually brings up a question. Kind of off topic, but we were talking about it earlier. So one of a really common aftermath potentially for weight loss surgery is the concept of transfer addiction, because you are not allowed to emotionally eat your problems anymore. So some people will turn into shopping or alcohol or, other things. Now, you were one of those people who actually dealt with transfer addiction long before surgery when you transferred smoking into food. So now that you've removed food from the equation, was there an issue there? Like, did you end up transferring it to something else, or did you find a way to just work through it?
Just kind of working through it. I did some before I had surgery. I did Overeaters Anonymous. That's a really hard. It's not a hard program, but I'm not a believer of. I don't want people to get in an uproar, but I don't believe in. I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in God, but I don't believe in the Bible. I had religion shoved down my throat growing up and stuff, but
Right.
I don't believe, religious based, which is good and everything, good and all.
Right.
You pray to. I liked it, but I mean, it helped a lot. It helped like up here. I read their books. It's an AA book. Same thing, addiction.
Yeah. But I can see that, because I do notice I've known a lot of people in my life who have suffered from addiction and have done like AA or NA, and some Overeaters Anonymous. I think there is an element of a religious aspect usually tied to it. A lot of them, turn to the Bible and stuff, which I don't know. I feel like in a weird way that's almost like another transfer addiction. But if it's working for them, like 100% more power to you. But I can see if somebody's not part of that element of it, how there could be like more of a disconnect with the program itself because of that issue. But that's why I'm really glad that we do have other options today, like the bariatric community. I didn't realize how big it was until just a couple months ago. I was like, I have been missing out all of these years. I had no idea.
Therapy. I mean, like everybody understands everything, and there's people that they'll talk about stuff that nobody really wants to talk about. Like how hard it is to wipe your butt, or accidentally peeing yourself because you're bending over, and because you pounds. Believe me. Not being able to eat. And need a car, or riding on an airplane. You need
like the seat extender.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or that fit in the seats.
And that's one thing that I love. What I was going to say is, like, when I had this surgery, like, they didn't prepare. There are so many things that they don't prepare you for afterwards. They don't prepare you for the mental aspect of it. They don't prepare you for potential transfer addiction. They don't prepare you for the hair loss. They don't prepare you for the acid reflux, at least for me, like 8 years ago. So I found myself constantly Googling everything. I would have a rare disease and then I was going to die in 6 weeks. That's what Google will tell me. And it's so refreshing to have a community now where you can be like, I feel like my hair is falling out, and people are like, no, that's normal. And like, and then for me, here's some tips and tricks. Here's some products that I use that might help. Here's some vitamins. There's so many more options for not just, like advice and support and people, but there's so many options now for bariatric friendly foods, and like the amount of like food recipes and bariatric friendly websites and like it's so nice to be able to have it's unfortunate, I feel like, that we have to take it upon ourselves to provide these resources for each other. I kind of wish more bariatric programs would offer it as part of their surgery program.
If I want to see my nutrition, my insurance paid for the nutritionist.
Oh, something happened with her screen and it just kind of went out. I am going to just pause it first. I'm going to pause her screen until she comes back on. Michelle, I don't know if you can hear me, if you want to try to get out and come back in. But for those of you who are watching, we've been talking with Michelle, who had RNY 10 months ago. She's about to celebrate her 1-year anniversary. And I don't think she had told us how much exactly she had lost, but one of the things that I resonated with her a lot was the amount of pain that we were both in prior to surgery. And when she told me the amount of Motrin that she had to take every single day just to be able to perform basic fundamental tasks was just absolutely insane. Oh, I think she's come back. Hi, we were just talking about you.
I don't know.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
You know what? Number one, every time, this is what happens when you do a live show. Like, there's no control over it, and I don't think I've done a show where there has not been some kind of a glitch or something of some kind.
Sure.
We are slowly moving in the right direction. We're getting there. Yeah. But I'd rather it happen now than happen earlier on, because I just now looked at the time and we're actually almost out of time, which is insane.
I know, it went by fast. This was fun.
So, okay, good answer. I'm glad you said that. I hope you come back.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to talk to Michelle outside of the show or follow her journey more, she is on TikTok, and you can find her at Michelle MacArthur. Her name's on the screen right now. You literally just Google that in a TikTok. She made it really easy peasy for you guys to find her on there. But she's actually a really amazing person in the community, because, you know, she is active in the community. There's something on TikTok where you can go live and you can talk to other people in the community, and she's often on there answering questions, talking about her experience. So whether you want to, you know, ask her publicly or ask her privately, she's really good about responding back to people and wanting to help people. And I'm just like pimping her out right now is what I'm doing. So go follow her. Go follow her TikTok page. But before we go, is there any like final thoughts or anything that you would like to add?
No, just make sure you research, you know, what you want to have, you know, what surgery you want. And I was like, you know, you can't just pick one person or pick, you know, you got to research it, talk to people. Yes.
Ask questions. And one of the biggest things that people are worried about is, like, am I asking too many questions? No. Ask as many questions as you need. There's no stupid question. There is no stupid question. Ask as many questions as you want. Get as much information as possible. And at least you guys are all in a position now where there's so many options out there to get information and real-time stories and talking to people one-on-one on their experiences, just like Michelle is doing for us today.
Thank you very much.
Of course. And I appreciate you. So for everybody who's watching, you can always watch past episodes of Unzipped with Sherry on YouTube and Facebook by looking up Unzipped with Sherry. You can also go to sherryartcuria.com, which is like right here, like the name right here, like, whoa. You can get copies of my book on there. You can also get links to the podcast if you can't find it on YouTube. We are also on TikTok. We're on there often. So come and find us on there. It's a lot of fun. If you are scared about sharing your journey or sharing your story, or worried about people talking to you, you can reach out to either one of us, and we can always help put you in the right direction of somebody who might be able to help you along the way. And on that note, like, seriously, Michelle, thank you so much for being part of the show. Like, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And so I hope you guys all have an amazing week, and we will see you next week.